Hello everyone, it is January 20th. It's really January 19th, but I've had some unusual circumstances where my recording device stopped recording twice. And the first clip I thought was lost entirely, so I re-recorded the clip. It was much shorter when it stopped recording suddenly. And so when I went back to my library, turns out the first clip was recorded. Kind of got cut short a little bit, but apparently it's because I'd said more than enough. And I'm recording a second clip, and I want to talk about the impact of music on health and wellness. You've seen a lot of input probably over the course of time where you've heard of people who had maybe lost contact with their own version of reality. We'll call it dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever, where they hear a song and that song suddenly transports that person back into an awareness that they didn't have before. A lot of those things are true. When people hear songs, they can remember a certain event. They can remember what it was they were doing, where they were, who they were with, what they saw. They can remember things that maybe they hadn't remembered in decades. So, what is it about music? What is it about art in general? Art is meant to bring thought. It's a piece of emotion that's shared. And that piece of emotion that's shared can evoke an emotion from someone else. You've got to imagine if you listen to an angry, if you listen to like an angry rock song, and I say angry, but what I mean is passionate. If you listen to something that's passionate, and if it was played right, well, it can certainly resonate with a lot of people to dance a certain way. And if you listen to another piece, it might trigger some kind of emotion in a way that makes you think in another direction. A lot of music that's out there has a certain mood to it, and all of those moods come from some emotion, and these emotions are not just unique to us or to the songwriter. They're encompassing. They're emotions that all of us can have. And so the song of any genre can resonate with one another in ways that is tried and true. That's why things are sold to us and advertised in a certain way, and they succeed or don't succeed. I'm not a professional musician, although I do play one on TV. And at the same time, I feel like I'm getting to a level where I have a lot of fun playing music. And a lot of my inspiration is as plain as the art on the wall. It'll tell you where I was inspired from, and that'll also give you a glimpse into why some of the tones that I play are the way that they are. So my upbringing was a certain way. I remember we were friends. Everything would last forever. We were side by side. Not sure if you could hear me talking over the chords. I think you can, because the microphone on this device is quite capable, and it definitely picks up the things that are supposed to be picked up. You can hear voices over sounds a lot of times on these recording devices. I hope if you're hearing me, you're enjoying that I'm just kind of ambling in this conversation, and that I don't have a specific direction except for to show you Music is pretty interesting. You can even tell when errors happen right away usually. And you can tell when someone's playing junk and someone's just making up something. That's just the way it is. It's kind of the same as when people are talking. And so when you have a lot of representatives that are talking and don't have a lot of heart behind what they're saying, that's how it comes out. It's just kind of like, and in a lot of ways, that's just part of the picture. The other part of the picture is confidence. Getting a little carried away there. My dog turned around and looked, and he looks really cute right now. I'll show you a segment on him later, and I'll talk about the impact of pets or any presence of love on our health and wellness as time goes by. Right now I wanted to follow up. Today's January 20th. The impact of music on health and wellness is profound. Reading a book is also something that's quite inspiring and quite soothing. It's one of those things that each of these components on their own could be something to consider when you're going to bed. To circle back to day one, how we sleep is profound as far as what it is that we get out of our health and wellness. Whether or not we're paying any attention to our dreams is profound. And these are all basic things that some of us have turned our backs on. As far as why, I couldn't tell you. What I can tell you is that as I relearned some of the things that I thought I knew in the past, I began to question, why wasn't I taught these things in the past? And it only comes down to one thing, which is that not everyone had the same quality of upbringing, and not everyone had the same perspective, and we're all learning together. And if our family nucleus has suddenly been torn apart to where we're not getting together for the holidays in ways where our fathers are present, where our mothers are present, if we're not getting together on a regular basis where our parents are there and also, and I don't mean present just to give us insight, but also to receive insight. If they're not present in a way where they can hear things and actually follow through on insight, it's possible that we're in the presence of someone who's just kind of going through the motions. A lot of the things that we can do are autopilot, and autopilot's one way to live. It's not the best way to live, but that's up to each of us, whether or not we accept responsibility, peace, or Christ, or whatever you want to call it, that causes us to go in a direction other than autopilot, then we'll be able to make our own choices. Not just based on rules and laws, but based on actual glimpses of insight from our heart. So, I kind of just felt like getting a guitar out and playing it for a couple of moments. Nothing special. And at the same time, if I had an audience that I knew was listening, probably it would be a lot more special. Right now, I feel like everything that I've played and said and asked for feedback has been just kind of, whatever. And that's kind of the attitude that I'm resonating right now, which isn't in your best interest, but again, sometimes these things are just for me. And I hope that you understand. I've basically recorded for almost an hour, a half hour with the clip that you saw the other day, if you saw it, and maybe over 10 minutes for this clip that you're seeing now, plus whatever amount of time was on the other clip that stopped recording. My primary focus is to record a few videos that extend through the duration of this week. That way I can clear my plate and start working on some projects. At some point, some of these guitars are going to get sold, replaced, moved around. At some point, some of the artwork's going to get sold, replaced, moved around. Right now, it's a work in progress. So if you're seeing me as a work in progress, blessings to you. You know that I'm going through the same journey as you. So we're all a work in progress. None of us are perfect, you know. That was the benchmark, and that's also the force behind some of the conversations that have been had, which cause such sharp response between one another sometimes. Sometimes words can be cutting, but it depends on how we are with words. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. There are a lot of people that talked a certain way to me when I was online and also offline at the end of this past year. There are a lot of people that did things in ways that weren't quite acceptable if they were viewed in public, and yet they were viewed in public. Some of those things happened in past eras in ways where some people supposedly got let go for major offenses, and some people practically got nailed to death for lesser offenses, which is interesting. So in this era, we have a lot of interesting challenges in our systems right now, just like we do in our own individual roles and community roles. But one of the things that shouldn't be challenging is to have a conversation with one another. So I'm going to ask again, I don't know if any of this content's being well received, if there's anything that you've wanted to see more of or less of. I don't know if there's anything that I want to even use these social media channels for. I'm not burned out. I just, like everyone else, want a return on an investment that I'm patient enough to allow to grow, and at the same time, I don't know what's as meaningful as an in-person conversation or a real song that we hear with one another. It's hard to get past the fact that many of us aren't even able to see one another. You know, we've got so many masks, and we've got so little time because of all these things in the real world that we like to address. For me, I like to address less of these things in the real world and more of those real connections that we have with one another. But at the same time, my role is to be where I'm needed, and so here I am. Who am I talking with? Are any of you out there musicians? Do you have a better voice than me? Because I surely can't sing all that great. But I really do like playing guitar. I've gotten quite good at it. I don't want to pluck my own strings. And at the same time, I can't help but doing it. So the more I do this, the more I smile. I figure if I smile enough, eventually someone else will smile, and we'll make a trend out of this. We'll make something out of this that helps other people to smile as well. Health is wealth. I haven't finished that bounty of blueberries yet, which I talked about in yesterday's segment. In today's segment, I wanted to touch on music because it is a universal language. Love is patient, and I'll have to make some new songs that sound a little bit more patient, a little bit more peace-inspiring, and I will. In the meantime, I have a whole collection of other songs that touches on a myriad of subjects, and if you can tolerate them for long enough, the lyrics are in the descriptions. All you have to do is look at this video. Below the video, there's a thing that says description, and you have to be in the app or on the website to do that. But when you click on description, usually the lyrics will be listed. Beyond that, my whole purpose of this channel at all is to bring attention to wildlife and nature in a way that makes sense. There's a lot of things that we've all purchased in the past that generate so much waste that wildlife and nature are struggling to overcome these deficits that we're giving to them. But we have an opportunity right now to change everything so that those surpluses of waste can become something else. Imagine if, I don't even know if this is possible, but imagine if 3D printers could print out and mold stuff out of plastic bottles. Imagine if those plastic bottles could be used for some kind of purpose to make an instrument of music, you know, for someone who normally wouldn't be able to afford one. There are guitars that I've eyeballed out there for a while that range all the way up to $30,000. These things can get expensive. Some of the guitars that I have are less than $100, and some of my favorite ones I've built myself as kit guitars. They don't yet sound as amazing as something that was professionally built because I was just practicing on those guitars. It's kind of like these songs that I play. As I practice, they're going to get better. It's kind of like anything that we do. As we practice and inspire one another, we're going to get better. But without any inspiration, what's the point? So if I'm not being monetarily inspired, if I'm not being verbally inspired, what's the point? For me, the point is this brings me joy. I could not care less if I was getting paid to do this or not. I'm going to continue to do it. In my free time, in my full time, however I want to do it, that's how I'm going to do it. It's something that doesn't hurt anyone. It brings me a sense of serenity. And when I hear songs, I think about the good times that we had with one another. I hope when you hear those songs that we were there to hear together, you're also having a good time and you're thinking about those enjoyable times that we had. I hope you remember that we are friends, and I hope that you're having a blessed and bountiful day. Peace to you. Thanks for watching. Health is wealth. Listen to something inspiring. Create something inspiring if there's nothing inspiring for you. Agitation and anxiety are things that can come from food and everything else that we consume, and that includes music. That includes what we see on the news. That includes what we see when we're looking at one another walking around out there in our masks. That includes what we smell in the environments that we're in. That includes what we consume. So make sure you're taking care of one another. Health is wealth, and smiles are priceless. I hope I made you smile. Peace.